Y'all, breastfeeding it's hard. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Shauna here. Welcome back to Vlogmas. So today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about breastfeeding, because you guys, breastfeeding is hard work and I did not have the easiest time with it. So I wanted to kind of share my story with you, my journey, and give you some tips and tricks that you might try if you're also having a rough time with it. So for those of you who are new here or who don't know, my name is Shauna. I have a 9-month-old baby boy who was born via an emergency C-section. If you haven't seen my labor and delivery story, click the cards up above and go ahead and go check it out. I also have, my mother is a lactation consultant, which was a lifesaver for me with breastfeeding, and I know many of you don't have that available to you. If you are having trouble with breastfeeding though, reach out to a lactation consultant because they are tons and tons and tons of help, okay? But yes, my mother is a lactation consultant, so a lot of the things that I tried and the tips that I'm going to be giving to you are ones that she gave to me when I was first starting out. So to start, right after Charlie was born, I did not get to do skin to skin immediately. It was about an hour after he was born. Again, check out my labor and delivery story if you want to know why. As soon as he was able to be put onto me though, he latched on immediately to my left side. And he did great. He latched on perfect. I switched sides a couple times throughout the night and he did great. The next morning when I tried to put him on my right side, I could not get him to latch. So I just went ahead and put him on my left. And then I tried again the next time to put him on my right. And for about 3 times in a row, I could not get him to latch onto my right side. When my mother came in that morning, I talked to her about it. And we ended up realizing that and I can't think of the phrase of it, but basically they'd been putting so much IV fluids into me that my whole body was swollen. My face was swollen, my feet were swollen, my arm actually ended up getting so swollen, it was like triple its normal size. And I actually ended up having to take the IV out of this arm and switch it over to this arm because this arm had gotten so swollen with fluid. So that swelling had also traveled to my breast and my nipples. And so when Charlie was trying to latch, he wasn't able to latch on because my nipples were so swollen that he wasn't able to get a grasp. Because of this, after we realized this was what was going on, we did start trying a nipple shield. Nipple shields are just they're little plastic. I'll try to insert a picture if I can figure out how to do that. And they're just little plastic nipples, basically. They look like a cover for your nipple, and they just go on there and then the baby can latch on with that. It was a lifesaver for me. I don't think I would have been able to breastfeed without one because of how swollen I was, and the fluids didn't completely leave my body for about a week or 2. It took a long time for my body to get back to normal because of all the fluid. So that's my first tip. If you're having issues, especially with latching, then a nipple shield might be helpful. There are downsides to nipple shields, so do your own research, but they can help. One of the downsides to nipple shield is a baby can get dependent on it, and Charlie did. He got to the point where he would not nurse without a nipple shield up until he was about 5 months old when we were finally able to get rid of him. So that is one of the downsides. Just keep that in mind. Now, after that, when we went home, I was able to nurse Charlie just fine with the nipple shield, and I did. He nursed 24/7 for about the first 2 weeks, which was tiresome. He wouldn't sleep unless he was on my boob. Extremely tiresome. For me, the most comfortable position was the football position, which is where their head is up here at your breast, and then, I don't know if you can see, sorry, let me scoot back a little. So his head was at my breast and then his body was laying beside me, and I would put like a pillow or something underneath him. For me, that was the easiest position until he got too big and started kicking against the wall. Until he was a lot older, probably 5 or 6 months, I wasn't really able to do like the cradle position where you hold them with their head here and then you cradle them while they breastfeed. For me, I wasn't able to like help guide my breast into his mouth while holding him in that position. So for me, the football position worked best. And then at about 5 months or so, I was also able to start doing the side laying position as well. At that point, around 5 months is when they get to where they can help you a lot. They know how to latch on. They know how the basics. And so it's a lot easier to do it while they're in different positions. So my milk supply. In the beginning, I had issues with my milk supply, and that happens a lot of times when you are either induced or have an emergency C-section, because your body wasn't just wasn't quite ready to make the milk. So I had a lot of issues. I knew I had issues because he was always hungry. He always wanted to eat 24/7. He wasn't gaining weight properly. He was gaining, just not as quick as what is expected of a new baby. And so it was a little worrisome to me. So I tried a lot of different things to try to boost my milk supply. First thing my mom had me try was fenugreek or fenugreek. It's an herb. It was just an over-the-counter herb you can buy at your grocery store or like a CVS or Walgreens. And so I tried that at first. Then that stopped working. I started taking this herb. So the herb I took was called Mother Love More Milk Special Blend. The reason I took this one specifically is because, and it's the special blend one is the one that my mother told me to take, because they also have one that's just More Milk Plus, I think, but that one doesn't have the same herbs in it. This one has goat's rue, which is the one my mother really wanted to get into me, because both of them have the fenugreek and the blessed thistle and the fennel seed, which are all good, but this one had the goat's rue, which is also really good. So I started taking that along with the fenugreek. I was still taking both. And I noticed a slight difference, but not a lot. I also started making lactation cookies and taking those, and I'll leave the recipe I use linked down below. I loved it. It was great. They were really good. Even my husband and my mother thought so. But it just wasn't enough. It wasn't doing much. I also tried things like the lactation teas, some shakes that they have, basically anything at the grocery store, I tried it. But none of it worked too well. All of it was a little bit. I also pumped regularly. I tried to pump at least 4 times a day while nursing on demand strictly. And then I also was giving Charlie anything that I pumped. So anything that I pumped out, we gave to him immediately from the beginning. Even before we gave him bottles, we would give it to him in a little syringe. We would just put our finger in his mouth, so he'd suck on our finger, and then in the corner squirt the milk in his mouth. And so he was getting everything that came out of me pretty much. One thing that I did love, though, that helped so much with trying to get extra milk out was the Haka. It's basically like a silicone breast pump thing that it's not an actual pump. It's not an electric pump. It's just like one of those hand ones. Anyways, it's linked down below on Amazon. Look at it. It's awesome. They're amazing. It helped me a lot. So I tried all those. None of them worked. Around 4.5 months, it was a week before he turned 5 months old, we decided to start supplementing with breast milk, or with formula, because he just wasn't getting enough breast milk. I just wasn't able to make enough. And so we started supplementing. And after that, it took off a huge burden off my shoulders. It took off all the stress and guilt, because I cried about not making enough milk for him constantly. I felt like my body was betraying me, and that I was letting him down, and it was hard. And I felt guilty that I wasn't able to give him what he needed. Anyways, after we started supplementing with formula, it took a huge burden off my shoulders, and he was still mostly breastfed until about 8 months. He was only getting about 1 bottle a day of formula, maybe 2 at most, but usually just 1 bottle a day, and then the rest was all breast milk until 8 months. At 8 months, he got an ear infection. It was like his 4th one, but it was a really, really bad one, and he stopped nursing. He nursed to sleep one night. It was a Wednesday night. He nursed to sleep. He woke up the next morning on Thursday and wouldn't nurse. And I kept trying and trying and trying. For 2 weeks I tried to get him to go back, and he just wouldn't. I think part of it was his ear infection. I also think he'd gotten teeth at this point, quite a few teeth, and he had started biting me. And so and then laughing about it. And so I started getting kind of tense every time I breastfeed him, and I think he could feel that stress. And so I think it was just time for us. I wish I could have gone longer. I had every intention of going to at least a year, but I think it was just time for us. So he is now strictly formula fed, unfortunately. Well, that's not true. He has a little teeny tiny bit of breast milk left in the freezer that I'm still giving him. So he gets about 4 ounces a day of breast milk still. But that'll be out. That's going to be gone in a couple days. So he's mostly strictly formula fed at this point. But I tried a lot of things, you guys. I tried the fenugreek. I tried the More Milk Special Blend. I tried lactation cookies that had brewer's yeast and flaxseed in them and oats. I ate oatmeal every day for breakfast. And the fact is that sometimes your bodies just don't make enough milk for your babies. I'm hoping that with my next child, my body will make more, but it may just be that my body doesn't make enough milk. And sometimes that's the case. And you just gotta not let that get to you, and just know that feeding your baby is what matters, no matter how you're feeding your baby. So anyways, you guys, this is kind of a little bit longer than I planned, but that is my story. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them linked down below. I'm sure I'm missing something along the way. Anyways, besides that, you guys, thank you guys for joining me, and keep looking forward to more vlogmas videos. I have a very special video coming up soon that you are going to want to tune into, so keep an eye out for that. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.